old white dudes talking about progressive Christianity or progressive religion in general is not progressive. There's your soundbite, Trip. We'll just cut that out and stick it in front of your video. So, as a follow-up to yesterday's video, there's a lot on my mind. There's a lot kicking around up there. But I just had that fully formed snippet that I wanted to push out there. And I watched another video this morning. It was supposed to be Trip's video. I don't know how long that takes to post on the Sogo Media channel, how long he's taking to post that. Not Trip, it's this other guy. And it was this old white dude standing at a lectern, and I really couldn't pay that much attention to it. Talking about answering the question, does God exist? Which seems kind of an odd bit of subject matter for a Christian-based gospel channel. That's like 101 business. Certainly, people have already figured that out if they're watching these videos, right? But actually, I think that he was using the question. It was kind of a false premise. It was a false premise. It wasn't something along the lines of that God doesn't exist, he insists. I don't know. It really wasn't. I mean, it was a single cruddy shot of an old white dude talking at a lectern. And that's really what threw this whole yesterday's entire argument into perspective. First of all, I did present those thoughts to Trip, and we're on the same page as far as our tentative hesitancy about what's happening here. And what it boils down to is old white dudes talking about progressive Christianity is not being progressive. And the problem here, from my perspective, being the God-hating atheist, is that Christianity exists because the institution exists because of old white dudes. So to have old white dudes saying we're going to move it forward is just ironic. We're going to do something different, ironic. Obviously, I'm not including Trip in the broad generalization of old white dudes. And I think Trip has certainly, time and time again, established himself as a truly progressive, forward-thinking voice. But the concept of the diverging demographics, I think this defines it. I think this defines the problem with it. For all of the minds, the open, fertile minds that Trip is going to engage and bring in and engage, capture, all the minds he's going to capture. And I suspect Magpie Girl's going to do the same. For every mind that they're going to capture, these other guys with their old white dudes standing in front of a lectern with a single shot, poorly produced and crafted videos will set those captured minds free in a bad way. Like, okay, well, I'm not coming back. And that, okay, so that poses a problem that I wanted to talk about yesterday about this idea of the group vlogging channel. But before I get there, I had this other thought in my head this morning, and it was like, I don't, Trip, he's not a spring chicken. He acts like one. He's not a spring chicken. I think he is in his head and his heart, obviously. But there's more. It's sure he's got a microphone in front of him, and sure there isn't a lectern. But I think the criticism could be, what is the difference between him and the old white dude standing behind the lectern? You take away the camera angles, you take away the fancy cuts, and more. And I do more than just cut out the dead space. When I get the videos, I actually reorder things, and I don't say that as a negative at all. But what I usually do is shuffle things around so that we can open with a really, really strong lead. So the video you're going to see today for Busted Stuff, it's probably up by now, by the time you're watching this. But so if you go to horborong.com, go to Tripp's page, you can see episode 3 of Busted Stuff. And that's a really good example, because this whole opening bit about the donuts actually happened about midway through Tripp's dialogue about it actually took place about halfway through his video. So there's a number of reorganization and editing. That's what I do, in addition to mixing all of his shots and angles. But what I was getting at was that if you take away the lectern, I mean, what really is that difference? And the difference is that, and you take away the edits, the difference is that Tripp is a really good orator, and we've seen that plenty of times before. He doesn't need the edits. He doesn't need Horborong Creative to make him look good. I make him look great, don't get me wrong, and help capture those eyeballs, capture those minds that we're going after, to tighten it up and make it that much more palatable. But he doesn't need that stuff to reach those people. So this whole process that we've been doing is about, you know, building him up and helping him work towards his niche and build out his niche. But yeah, he is a really great orator, and he's smart as fuck, and he has these ideas. These ideas that, I don't know, are they outside of the box? I think so. They are potent enough and original enough that they have me, the guy who is staunchly opposed to religion, actively helping grow this man's internet presence. And in the process of doing that, I'm actually, so I can know the competition, I can know the enemy, I am watching this other stuff that I would never touch with a 10-foot pole a couple of months ago. So that's the power of Tripp, and being a truly progressive thinker and working outside of the box. And it's just Busted Stuff. It's not so much he wants to work outside of the box, he wants to see the box obliterated. And that mentality, those concepts, you can take Christianity out of it, you can take religion out of it, and they are still powerful concepts that I love. So, this idea of diverging demographics, we're painting that picture of that mind that we want to engage with Tripp's material, and then we have, you know, this other demographic that theoretically is engaged by an old white dude standing in front of a lectern talking about institutionalized faith. The fear yesterday that I posited was that the minds that Tripp captures will be repelled by everything else, and I think that's even more prescient today. I have a hard time not seeing how that's going to happen, and that is a problem with a vlogging channel. And I've been thinking about this. This is something I've been thinking about a lot, but, okay, to step away from the religious aspects and Sogo media or whatever. But, I mean, I think Jen sees this. Wait, I feel like I might have talked about this before. But this idea of the vlogging channel, you know, in the case of Jen, I will go there to watch her videos because I know her, I am interested in what she has to say, and every now and then, maybe I'll watch the other people on the channel, but I'm not going to subscribe to that channel because I do not want my feed cluttered up with all these videos from people I don't know. This was the same thing with Obsquatch way back in the day, the 5 Awesome Drunk channel. And I feel like I'm missing out, and every now and then I would go to the channel to find his videos, but I don't want to watch this channel. I want to watch this person, but I don't want to watch this channel. I think, and maybe I'm looking at this at a very macro, and I know macro in this term would probably mean big, so I'm looking at it at a very micro level, but that's how it applies to me, and that's what I bring to the table, and it's not going, the bigger numbers probably may not necessarily add up to that, although they could. And what I mean by that is, I'm not going to subscribe to Sogo Media. Obviously, that has no bearing on my life whatsoever. I am not going to subscribe to that channel. That being said, I very much want to watch Trip's videos. I want to see what he's thinking about. I want to see what he has to say. So there's my conflict from my perspective. And then you just add that, add that layer of religion onto it. Either the super progressive, really destroy the institution, Christian belief system, or the rooted in institution Christian belief system that wants affirmation online. Well, what you're going to see is the people who are genuinely outside of the box, don't give two shits about the institution. They're going to subscribe to Watch Trip and Magpie Girl and whatever else actually echoes those sentiments or supports those sentiments, affirms those sentiments, and then they're going to be repelled by everything else. And then they're going to unsubscribe. And then they're going to say, well, I really like your video, but I'm having a hard time watching all this other stuff. And the institutionalized people, because this is what the institution does, are going to really like all of the old white dudes behind the lectern, but then they're going to watch Trip stuff and say, you godless son of a bitch. And they're going to unsubscribe because they're going to say, Sogo Media, why the fuck are you letting this godless son of a bitch blaspheme the word of God? Because that's what the institution does. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think I've seen that. I was trolling. Looking through Trip's comments on Sogo.net, the Sojo.net, Sojourners, because my mom said she had creeped him and had left a comment or two on his blogs on Sojo, and I was trying to find those just to see what the conversation was, and there's those types of people are there on Sojo, I don't think Sojourners takes that hard line of a stance saying we are progressive, forward-thinking religious media. So it's a little bit more forgivable, but that's what Sogo is trying to say. Sogo Media is trying to say. That's where the issue is. It's like the Apple iPad Mini. Apple invented the category of the Retina displays, and they trumpet it with every advertisement and every device, and then they released the iPad Mini, which has a display that has a 2-year-old display that is anything but Retina quality, and they just ignore it completely. And that's my problem. You're like, the Apple raised the standard, they trumpeted the bar being lifted, and then they just ignored everything, and it's hypocritical. It's extraordinarily hypocritical. So we will see how the actual audience participation and engagement plays out with Sogo Media. in the YouTube channel. And it's just the inaugural week, and admittedly, from a very macro, in the sense that it's very big picture view of the channel, his subscriber numbers are going up. Yesterday's celebrity video, I don't know who this, I think it's Brian McLaren, but that was like the headline video from yesterday. It has a shit ton of views on it. That could all be because of the guy and bringing his own audience to it. You don't, you know, that's the question with the vlogging channel. Okay, so the guy for yesterday's star brought his massive audience to the channel. How many of those people are going to stay and watch Trip? How many of those people are going to stay after tomorrow there's an hour-and-a-half video of a guy, an old white dude, standing behind a lectern? That's the question. That's, you know, the idea behind the vlogging channel is, okay, I'm going to bring my audience, you're going to bring your audience, we're going to all have this massive audience because we're all interested in the same thing. But when you're talking about these niche categories, and certainly here it's the most divisive of niches ever. Jen has her body weight image, and I think that's a little bit more palatable and understanding of each other's opinions. But still, you know, the ultimate niche is you and your personality, on YouTube at least, right? So yeah, I could be interested in you but not give two shits about any of the other people on that channel, in which case, if I'm really involved and cared about my YouTube experience and actually participating, I'm probably not going to subscribe to your channel because I don't want to be inundated with all that other stuff. So that's my issue with vlogging channels. And there's a concern for Trip that he might end up losing out. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think it's a very real concern, though. He could lose out on a lot of potential traffic and mind share, of audience participation even, by being attached to such a widely diverse and potentially divisive channel. So we'll see. We will see. It's certainly interesting to think about. It's keeping my mind busy. And then I've got touching gadgets. Holy shit. The new episode isn't really, you know, it's not thousands of views on it, but it's doing exactly what the other episodes have done. Then I compare it to the last video I had recently posted, which was the Disaster Cannon promo, which you probably haven't seen because there's like 30 views on it. It's eclipsing that. I mean, and it's just, I mean, every couple of hours there's another 10, 20 views on the video. So it's I mean, I'm not, it's not rocketing up, but it is having this consistent, it is consistently generating traffic. And I do this every now and then. I did, last time I really dove in was Orlando Insider, bought the domain name, set up the website, ran it for, you know, a little while, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, stopped, went back to it. And now it just exists as this dead website. I mean, as it exists, but nothing's happening on it, right? There was two or three other instances where I stopped myself from buying the domain name. And I get excited about it. I get, of course, I mean, and I'm very in the moment where, oh, this is really exciting, this is a really great idea, this would be a great idea for a blog. And sometimes I think about all the work that it takes to keep that up and do that. Sometimes I don't. And what I try to do is pause, give myself at least a couple of hours, if not a couple of days, to think about it and test run it. And I set up the page on Horborok, dramatically after. It's a fun little concept. It's a funny little LOL. It's fun, you know, and it's fun to do every now and then. Is it something I can keep up and that deserves its own blog? Not right now. Maybe one day, but not right now. So I stopped myself from actually buying the domain and setting up its own website. But yesterday, I didn't pause. And I just, like, wait a minute, it was like buying the iPod in the new iPod in the first place. I blinked and I was like, what the hell just happened? And I bought the domain name, and the website was set up, and I moved. touchinggadgets.com is a thing. And, you know, I guess and then, okay, so now I'm justifying it. But the idea is that, you know, these videos are so great at, you know, when I do them and I get them online, you know, they have a life of their own. And, you know, here's the thing, you know, I working with Trip, working with Chris, talking to other people and finding their niches and figuring out ways to help them develop in their niche. And when I turn that development eye on myself, I'm like, okay, well, the webcams is a niche, but it's really hard to grow in that niche, and it's hard to maintain that niche. It's just hard to grow in that niche, especially with the track record that, okay, well, I've produced this entire library of 2 or 3 series, and, you know, it's still just barely a blip on the radar. But the cool thing about Touching Gadgets, like I've said before, is that it's this combination of all these things that I just super fucking love, and I just there's no other reason other than the sheer joy of it. And for some reason, and it's not, I mean, it's totally understandable, these videos get tons of views, and the question is converting those views into people who genuinely like what I'm doing. And that's a little bit more rare. The upshot of that, you can look at the comments. You can look at the comments on the first 2 videos and see kind of all the hate that's there about these videos. But the good thing about that is that they make them really good revenue generators, because people watch it, they're like, what the fuck are you doing? A puppet show with gadgets? What the hell? And then they click the ad to leave. So that creates actually a really good revenue generator. But, you know, there's also people who are enjoying it, who do kind of get the idea. And, you know, once I stop to think about, okay, if this existed on its own, what is the idea? How do I summarize this? And it was really simple to put that in words. It's gadget porn, you know, because you've already read the reviews. If you're anything like me, if you have that obsession, you've already read the reviews. Yesterday was a really good example. I read all the tech news there was to read had been read. Right? All the interesting reviews to look at had been looked at. There was nothing new yesterday, and you know that's what porn is. There is no point to it. It exists to arouse and satisfy, and there's no point to the Touching Gadget videos other than look at these gadgets, let's touch these gadgets, let's play with these. That's it. It's pure fun, pure entertainment, pure porn, gadget porn. And that satisfied something in me, satisfied a requirement, because it was something that I came across with work when we were doing the test drives. I was like, well, if I get into this car and set the camera up, talk about this car, what can I really bring to the table that 100 people haven't already done? Because those things exist in abundance, just like in the tech world. You know, gadget reviews, unboxings, close-ups, whatever. These things exist in abundance. People's opinions on these. It exists. You throw a stone, you can hit 1 billion people, you know, who are eager to get in front of that stone and take the hit. What can I bring to the table that is different, that's unique, that actually can help me grow in this niche? And I think that characterizing it and approaching it as porn is kind of ingenious. It's just for the sake of looking and playing with this stuff, and knowing that, and then what I discovered last night was that it's not even about current stuff. I mean, certainly I'll try to be as current as possible, but it's not about that. It's about just finding things that What I was going to say was that the other part about it is working within a budget. Working with it, it's the journey of satisfying the desire, the need for a fix. That's the other part of touching gadgets. But I completely lost my train of thought, which is probably good because this video is getting long. So it is. I know I'm one video back, and I in a library of 3, and then 2 galleries, and I have notes for other projects, and am I gonna stay with it? I don't know, but maybe buying the domain name and setting up the website will be part of that commitment that will keep me on track. And then the other thing is that I kind of hope that the website, the illusion, the hypothesis, perhaps, is that the website may perform like the videos, right? I mean, and there's a reasonable amount of evidence that might be the case, because the videos, especially the one, has, it just over 21,000 views on it. It keeps growing and growing. The best cheap Android tablet. So, oh my God, why? Great SEO. So I'm making a lot of money off of it. Not a lot of money, but I'm making money off of that. So what if I apply all those principles to the website? It doesn't have to have constant updates. Create the content as I create it, and as I'm passionate about it, which is pretty much all the time when it comes to the gadgets. Creative gadgetry. And you put the ads in place, and just leave it a little bit on autopilot, and what will happen? Could this be the perfect niche, the perfect product that I'm putting out there that will actually inexplicably find its audience and pay off? So that's it was I blinked, I turned around, and I realized, oh wait a minute, I just spent $60 on registering the domain for 2 years and setting up a website, and the time it took to actually to build a website, which isn't that much time considering the platform, but all of a sudden there it was, and I'm just trying to. People are glaring at me as I make a fast entrance into the. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Touching gadgets. Stay creative.